Guess what, motherfucker? Joe Exotic for the people of America. How's that?
Guess what, motherfuckers? It's time to bring some controversy to the table. My name's Spotter Nerd, and I'm here to talk about the one, the only.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic, aka the Tiger King. Fair warning, this episode's gonna have lots of motherfucking cursing. Okay, in all seriousness, we're gonna have some fun with this video, with this episode. We're gonna talk about Tiger King, which is currently streaming on Netflix. Unbelievable docuseries that you should be watching. I don't care what you think of as far as it being silly or stupid or all the above. But we're also going to talk a little bit about controversy and the topics that are associated with this docuseries, specifically about animal rights and whether or not animals should be in zoos. If you know or you don't know, believe it or not, yours truly, Spot of Nerd, has actually worked with wildlife, has worked in zoological organizations for the majority of my life. It is and always will be a huge passion. I've always said Steve Irwin was my biggest idol. He's single-handedly woke the world up to wildlife conservation. So when it came to Tiger King and Joe Exotic, minus the murder for hire, minus the crazy, the gun toting, I actually thought Joe wasn't a bad guy when it came to animals and caring for his tigers. I actually support Joe Exotic. Now, before you start thinking, oh my god, Spot of Nerd is nuts, I would simply ask you to look at the facts. He's had a television series, he's put on YouTube, he's put out many articles. The bottom line is, if you look at these videos, if you do your research, Joe Exotic was not a bad dude when it came to animal care. It's a docuseries. These directors can point it in one direction versus the other. It's to get you to believe what they want you to believe. The show is fantastic. It takes you throughout the journey of who Joe Exotic is, who his keepers are, who the people, his business partners are. The scandal revolving around Carol motherfucking Baskin. Do I believe Carol murdered her old husband? Abso-fucking-lutely. Look at the facts, people. Fuck, fuggity, fuck, Carol Baskin.
Carol Baskin.
Carol Baskin. Carol Baskin. Carol Baskin. I consider that bitch to be one of the biggest terrorists in the exotic animal world.
She claims animal cruelty on Joe, yet she has the same exact facility where animals are kept in cages. It is the definition of hypocrisy. Which brings us a little bit to animals in cages. Now, I want to be very clear when I tell you this. If you are not a fan of zoos or zoological organizations, that can be aquariums, reservations, like Africa where animals can go for safe harbor, I don't disrespect that opinion. What I do disrespect is that just because an animal is in a cage does not mean animal cruelty. Those animals are in exhibits. Zoological organizations are needed to make sure that these wildlife animals continue well into the future. But to define it as animal cruelty to me is a very thin line, because you have dogs and cats. I'm sure you play around with them. You've maybe bonked them, or you've hit them, or you've kept them in the bathroom, or you've potty trained them, or you've cage trained your puppy. Doesn't that sound a little bit like animal cruelty? Here's something else to think about. Not everything you see from the news, from the zoological organizations, from social media, is all peaches and cream. I have worked for several zoological organizations, and I can tell you it is not perfect. There is immense bureaucracy. There is immense egos. There is immense, how big is my fucking dick? And that's why what it all comes down to when you look at Joe Exotic, when you look at Carole Baskin, when you look at the industry about how there are literally more tigers in captivity on the black market than there are in the wild. It's sadly, it is what it is. And the bottom line is, it's never gonna change unless you and I finally give a little bit more shits than what baseball is, or what your favorite celebrity's doing, or what Facebook is telling you. At the end of the day, I think watching this docuseries, the person that used to work for Joe, they were the ones that got the arm literally chewed off, which was badass. Both Joe and Carole have poured millions, literally millions of dollars into their feud. It's the animals that still lose. And I think that holds true to everything when it comes to wildlife and conservation. Steve's message is if I can get you to love it, then I can get you to want to do something about it.
This day has come where the audience, you, need to come with me and be there with that animal. If there's whales dying on the beach on the western side of Tasmania, I want to share it with you, because if we can touch people about wildlife, then they want to save it. If you go to SeaWorld and you get to have an encounter with a dolphin, you want to save dolphins. Gone are the days of sitting back on the long lens on the tripod and looking at wildlife way over there. Come with me. Share it with me. Share my wildlife with me. Because humans want to save things that they love. My job, my mission, the reason I've been put onto this planet is to save wildlife.
And that's where I get my passion for wildlife. I personally think, like I've said, you need zoos. You need to teach kids. You need to teach everybody, whether you're young or adult, of the importance of these animals. So what Joe did, what Joe Exotic did by breeding these animals is no different than what zoos do today. Did he maybe overbreed some of these tigers? Sure. Sometimes you overbreed animals because they are so low in numbers that you just basically breed them just so you can get the population to a stable level. It's not a secret. It's science and it's fact. So everybody that's bashing Joe for the animal cruelty, animals get euthanized daily. I worked in departments where animals were being euthanized. It can be from old age, it can be from injuries, it can be a number of reasons. Okay, maybe Joe shouldn't have shot these tigers, but the bottom line is I can probably guarantee you they did not suffer. What I think is so great about this series is it really is telling the story of just a guy named Joe, whatever his last name, and it tells his story of murder, mayhem, and whatever the other title for the show was. It's just good entertainment. The dude literally tried to run for president back in 2016. I don't think Joe was dumb enough to do a murder for hire for $3,000. If you ask me, Jeff, his business partner, set him up. Jeff, you are a fucking snitch. One thing I'll give the directors who actually made this docuseries about Tiger King, they suck you into this docuseries. One episode, you're rooting for Joe. The next episode, fuck Carole. The next episode, Doc. Is it a cult? I think cult is way far stretched. What it comes down to is this docuseries will pull you one direction, the next episode pull you the next. There are people like him out there. And I think that's where I look at it from both sides. So many people are, you're either for Joe or you're against Joe. And the people that are against Joe, you're against him because he's different. Stop judging. I'm guilty as ever. I mean, we all judge people. There's no getting away from it. If you're judging him based off the fact that he had some guns and he shoots them in a lake and he appears to be shown through Netflix, this docuseries, that he's some gun-wielding trailer trash hick, then that's on you. Everybody's different. This series is documenting things to make you believe that he was this just obsessed person with Carole Baskin, and maybe he was. I don't know full story. I can only see what I've seen from the series to what I've done in my own research. One other little thing too about how great Joe Exotic Tiger King is his music. If you've seen the videos,
woke up this morning with the sunshine in my eyes. All the clouds are gone and took the rain that came inside.
it's not him. Obviously we know it's not him, but it's so epic. I'm gonna wrap this episode up. I know there's been a lot of talk in this episode. I've kind of gone one direction, swung at the other. Do you think Joe deserves to be in jail? I'd love you, throw it in the comments. Are you for Joe or are you against Joe? The murder for hire, shame on him. You fucked up, Joe. You deserve to be in jail. The animal cruelty aspect, I realistically call bullshit. And let me summarize it up, because animal cruelty happens every single day, every state, every country around the world. I'm not saying zoo organizations are bad. I worked for them. I would love to go back and work for them still. But what I am telling you is you and I go to sleep at night without a thought in the world about the sheer amount of animal cruelty that happens daily. And I think what happens to a lot of people is they get their views and they get their preaching from like PETA, or they watch the other docuseries Blackfish, and that's their opinion because somebody made a series or a video about something and boom, that's your opinion. Nobody does research anymore, and that is what I hope maybe you get a little bit from me, is just instead of having a one-shot opinion because you watched something on Facebook or you watched a documentary which was complete and absolute shit, aka Blackfish, do your research. Joe was somebody who genuinely cared about animals, in my opinion. I don't know the whole story. I mean, there could have been animal cruelty. Again, if you look at the keepers in the series itself, they genuinely cared about these animals. If you look at all the interviews, their questions they're asked, these animals were not abused. They might not have been in the best, habitats or exhibits. They weren't mistreated. Now, let's wrap this episode up on a positive note, because I do want to talk about some of the amazing things that zoos have done across the entire globe. I've had the very fortunate pleasure of working for, I won't mention who, but let's just say some very famous zoos across this country, and the projects they work on, the research that's being done is astounding. It would blow your mind about bringing species back from extinction, saving species from extinction. I think what it comes down to really is the realistic factor that though these organizations are doing everything they can, it's us humans that I wish could be doing more. And that's where I get from Steve's message. I kind of mix Steve Irwin's message with my own message. Yes, Disneyland is great. Who doesn't enjoy going to the baseball game, football game, whatever it might be? But instead of pouring your money into a celebrity that you've never met, or material stuff that you're gonna just store in a closet, throw some bucks towards zoo organizations. If anything, whatever you take from this film, throw a couple dollars. They need it more now than ever, especially with this coronavirus. It is gonna hurt my soul to know what the outcome for zoos will be after this. They don't have backup. The government, if you haven't noticed, you would actually have to dig deep to see if they're getting any funding. It is all the donations coming in from people that is what's keeping these organizations alive. And that is why I'm encouraging you. With all that being said, if you have not watched Tiger King on Netflix, go and watch it. You are gonna love it. Joe, I support the hell out of you. Don't care what anybody says. Carol, you're a fucking bitch who murdered your old husband. Jeff, you're a little bitch. You are a snitch, and you know what? Fuck you. Just like Joe said at the end of, I think if you look at the end of the series in a manner of speaking, everything Joe did, the other people have done either similar or worse things. You call animal cruelty on Joe Exotic. Take a deeper look at Carol and what her organization's all about.
I've got a list of 37 names. I could shut them all down.
Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to hit that good old subscribe button down below. Follow us on Instagram, hit that like button on good old Facebook, and we're also on SoundCloud. I'm gonna be dropping new material on SoundCloud. teespring.com/spot-of-nerd. You can find merchandise from yours truly. All those proceeds are going to wildlife conservation. Take care of yourself. Hopefully you're being safe. Please just get your facts. I have a very strong opinion towards zoos. I think they are needed. They are powerful. I have huge passions for zoos. They deliver amazing messages. And for those of you that are against them, again, I don't have disrespect for that opinion. If your opinion is based off of Blackfish, it's absolute bullshit. You don't have to like zoos, but you do have to respect them, because it's the only way we're gonna get these animals, wildlife, whatever species, to exist well into the future. Unless we as humans start giving more of a shit, frankly, yeah, we're digging our own graves, and the only way we're gonna see wildlife is in a textbook. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you guys next time. Later, y'all.
Since I am accused of being one of the most notorious breeders of tiger cubs, I'd like to step in here for just a minute on a fundraiser that Carol Baskin at Big Cat Rescue is raising money for a tiger that was just taken from Michael Stapleton in Ohio and shipped all the way to Florida in such bad health. First of all, I'd like to say that's a bunch of bullshit. All she's doing is trying to get her propaganda of baby tigers being born in America and for an excuse of growing up and having bone deficiencies and bad teeth. If you fall for that, ladies and gentlemen, you're worse than a bunch of nuts in a squirrel tree. First thing I'd like to know is, what vet in their right mind would issue a health certificate for a sick tiger to be shipped from Ohio to Tampa, Florida? Second, I'd like to know, where the hell is the USDA in all of this? Even thinking that it would be healthy for a tiger to be put in a roller cage in a vehicle and shipped over bumpy roads and bridges all the way to Tampa, Florida. Why? So this lady can get online and raise thousands for a sick tiger that she will probably euthanize within the next year and blame it on poor health conditions after raising thousands of dollars.
Tell all the hunters to lay down their guns. Tell them that the tiger needs a little bit of love. Let them run the jungle, let them roam their land. Then stand back and marvel, what a beautiful cat. 'Cause I saw a tiger, now I understand. Well, I saw a tiger.